All right.
So Ismael Salas, a well-known and renowned Cuban trainer, and they made a big point, Rigondo's people, and Rigondo did, that the language barrier with Ronnie Shields and Freddie Roach prior to this was a big issue for them, that they needed to have a trainer, especially during fights, that could speak directly to the fighter.
And from a fighter's standpoint, I understand, because, you know, sometimes you need to get that message across instantly, you know, and you can't wait to, you know, somebody interpret it for you. You need to hear that message immediately.
Yeah, it's a good point. You'd have to, for you, it'd be like imagining somebody doing that in a corner, and it doesn't feel right to you, does it?
I couldn't imagine it.
That's why Antonio fired that Ukrainian trainer.
Well, you know, who can learn Ukrainian? It's not, you know, even Berlitz, you can't do it. Round 4, and this one is scheduled for 12. I'm Al Bernstein along with Steve Farhood and Antonio Tarver. Andre Ward joined us earlier in the evening and did a great job, and we enjoyed that. And Chuck Giampa's here helping us with the scoring and officiating issues. Rigondeaux now has settled in here, and he's the only one throwing punches, but not very many.
Well, I'd like to see Ramos try to time that little flick of a jab of Rigondeaux. It's not really meant to score or to hurt Ramos, but Rigondeaux is so fast that Ramos, when he throws right hands, Rigondeaux just steps back. He sees it coming. How many guys have tried to hit Rigondeaux with a right hand? Basically everybody he's ever fought.
I thought Рико Рамос's plan of throwing those left hooks, double left hooks, which I think is a wonderful weapon against the southpaw, I thought that would be something that might be unique and work in this fight, and he hasn't thrown those punches at all. He hasn't stepped to the left and really set down to throw those hooks. Good left hand by Rigondeaux.
Yeah, Рико Рамос is going to have to just get comfortable enough to just believe in himself. Right now, he's doubting himself. Right now, you know, he's not really sure if he can get in there and land the type of punches that he wants. Right there, you see a slow jab coming back. He got countered. So right now, he's in fear of opening up, in fear of the counter punch, the same punch that hurt him in round 1. But he has to let that go and fight.
Under a minute left to go here in round 4, and let's make one thing clear. Guillermo Rigondeaux is not running around this ring. He's standing right in front of Рико Рамос. He's not punching that much, but he's the one punching.
And he did start the fight that way.
Yes, he
did.
He's
been doing it steadily, to his credit. And, you know, I'm only half kidding when I say this. Maybe Рико Рамos' strategy right now should be step on Rigondeaux's right foot before he throws the right hand. That'll keep him in place.
Yeah, yes, it will. Well, Louis DeCubis, the very well-known fight figure who's the manager of Rigondeaux, told us he thought Rigondeaux was going to hit him with one punch and end this fight. Well, he almost did that in the first round. But it looks like he's looking for that. But round passes into the night, and the fans not excited about that round. Well, Strikeforce is back March 3rd with a full night of MMA action. This one is headlined by a women's 135-pound title match. Champion Miesha Tate, and she's exciting to watch, taking on the outspoken, and that's an understatement, Olympic judo medalist Ronda Rousey. Rousey started the war on Twitter, and they'll finish the war in the cage. The preliminary bouts also can be seen on Show Extreme beginning at 8, a great new innovation here on Showtime for both MMA and boxing.
When you're working with your left hand, you must keep your right hand up, all right? Okay, he's hurt already, all right? You cut it, he's already cut, you understand? You got him cut already. You already busted his mouth, all right? So keep busy.
We're headed into round number 5.
All right, let's go.
And Guillermo Rigondeaux in the white and purple trunks, former Cuban amateur star, defected from that country, had to do it twice, arrested the first time. So he's had a very intriguing and difficult journey to get his freedom to fight, taking on Рико Рамос in the red trunks, who is defending his title for the very first time. Ramos was down in round number 1, and since then it's been a tactical affair, but with Rigondeaux doing most of the punching.
Well, a busy junior featherweight or super bantamweight would throw 77 punches in one round. That's Ramos's total for 4 rounds. And Rigondeaux, not that much busier, only 101 punches thrown.
In fact, the average, according to show stats, is 59 punches around for fighters in this weight division. So both these men well below that figure. Again, the left hand by Rigondeaux.
This fight is starting to look very much like a fight I called in New York. Rigondeaux's 4th pro fight when he fought Lanty Addy. He knocked Addy down in his first round. Addy gave up fighting because he couldn't compete. And Rigondeaux just controlled the pace, nice slow pace, didn't throw many punches, won every round. It's starting to look like that here.
Yeah, Ramos very, very inactive, halfway through round number 5. And Rigondeaux doing enough to win these rounds. There's a nice jab from Rigondeaux, one of his better jabs. And again, he uses his pawing motion. I agree with you, Steve. Right there, that's where Ramos puts himself in position to throw the left hook and just doesn't throw the punch.
It looks like he'll throw 1-2 punches and he'll grab, you know, instead of being in position to throw more combinations or give a guy angle. It looks like he's in hot water and he's putting his foot in there to see just how hot. He's not going to jump in this water anytime soon.
And there he stepped on the toe of Rigondeaux, a strategy suggested by fine trainer Steve Farhood. Well, this is a 194-day layoff. Good jab by Рико Рамос there. 194-day layoff for Ramos, the longest of his career. Perhaps that also is having something to do with this, although we pointed out when he fought Shimoda, the title, this is the same kind of start he had.
You see Rigondeaux, very wide stance, and his footwork is magnificent. And what I mean by that, just watch when Рико Рамос approaches, how Rigondeaux has that escape route planned already to step to his left, or in that case, his right. He can go either way. Beautiful footwork. The use of your feet is, to me, the most underrated part of defense. Just stepping out of range.
Seconds remaining here in round number 5, and Gillermo Rigondeaux has again controlled another round, due largely to Рико Ramos's inactivity. There's some body work by Rigondeaux to punctuate that.
He's slowing down. But you don't launch with that fight, right? Okay, take that step over to the left. Okay, keep your foot on the outside. Take that step over to the left. You got me? Yeah. Okay, take a deep breath. He's slowing down. He's slowing down. He's slowing down. Yeah. Don't be careful. You gotta let them hands go.
Oye, ame maniobra, Rigo, con los pies. Ame una maniobra con los pies para poderlo golpear.
I want you to fade in with your footwork, you understand? I need you to start changing your fighting style, all right? Don't stay still too much, okay? Keep moving around. Keep moving around, okay? Don't stay still in one place, all right? Clean your gloves, real. Clean your gloves, real.
We head into round number 6, and the words of Ismail Salas might not be what every boxing fan wants to hear. You want to start moving around now, which kind of sounds like going into the 4-corner offense after you won the first 5 rounds. We'll see if that happens.
Al, I'm going to take my headset off and go over and speak to Salas about that. Do you mind?
Well, we've already acknowledged that you're a terrific trainer with your advice, you know.
Well, Rigondeaux right now is in an interesting place. With 5 rounds complete, he's clearly ahead.
Yes.
He scored the knockdown. But here comes part 2 of the equation with him. Does he want to make himself more marketable? Does he want to make himself more exciting? Or does he want to hear the scattering of boos we've heard over the last couple of rounds?
It's a great point, and it's a lot of what this fight is about.
Yeah, I mean, with Рико Рамос, we understand why he's a little bit gun-shy. We just don't understand why Rigondeaux is gun-shy, because he's the one put forth the power punch, got the knockdown. Really, there's been no resistance for him going forward and making this an action fight.
That's a very good point. You can make the case more for Рико Рамос being tentative at 24 and in his first title defense, but not for Rigondeaux. And a lot is at stake. You know, when he fought Ricardo Cordoba, he was roundly criticized, and maybe some thought more so. Now, there's apparently a low blow. Let's see if Joe well,
Joe seemed to indicate rabbit punch.
Yeah. And the left eye of Ramos is, got a problem, and now here comes Rigondeaux. And there goes Рико Рамос from a left to the body. And that one was very legal.
6, 7, 8, 9,
It is over. Gillermo Rigondо, with a body shot, ends this fight and ends the one-fight reign of Рико Рамос in the 122-pound division. And that is a happy Team Rigondo as they see their man in his 9th professional fight win a world title.
That's impressive. It's
yeah.
You know, but to the credit of Rigondo, he did what he had to do. But I just feel like when I look at Рико Рамос and his ability to do what he needed to do tonight, it was just a young fighter way in over his head, became champion too soon. And where you go when you're champion, you have to fight the top-notch competitors. There's nowhere to go but up.
And Rigondo was a mandatory challenger, which is the key. But we like that. We want to see people fight real people in boxing. You know, you went through arenas in the light heavyweights where, you know, you fought Roy Jones Jr. and Glenn Johnson forever, for 6 years, 3-4 years, and those were all great fights. Well, for Рико Рамос, this young 24-year-old, the disappointment is apparent, and they could not get it done against a 31-year-old who is obviously has all the skills in the world. And what we have to say, too, is he did end up winning by stoppage. Right. So there was power for Rigondo in this fight. And
like I said before, I didn't understand why he was gunshot. You know, this guy has all the ability. He needs to start putting it forth and working on that and letting the world see what he's definitely made of.
Well, he might have heard you on that one. Now, the action just before the fight ended. Now, there is a kind of a pulling motion, and there was a good left uppercut that landed. Now, this really bothered Рико Рамос. I guess maybe the pulling of the head down or something, and it made him tentative. And then Rigondo went after him.
Well, he was tentative the whole fight.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, that really didn't have anything to do with it. But in the future, Rigondo could possibly get disqualified or even a point taken away, because that looked to me to be obvious that he pulled his head and hit him while he was holding. Yeah, that was holding and hitting. There's no question about that. There's the body work by Rigondo, and boy, those were good body shots, and he can throw good body shots. This is his second fight in a row in which Rigondo, first against Willie Casey, and now in this fight, after the tentative performance against Cordoba, where he has won by stoppage and where he's won with his power. And again, that's a 7-punch combination with the left hand only.
You said it. You don't see that very often, almost never. But this man has a very good left hand. Does not use the jab much, but he can land that
educated. It's educated.
Now let's bring Chuck Giampa in to weigh in on the question of holding and hitting. Chuck, what did you see there?
Well, I thought that Rigondo did enough to control the rounds. He didn't go all out, but when he had him hurt, he knew how to finish him off.
And what about this holding and the hitting with the uppercut? What do you think of that? And Joe Cortez did give him a warning about holding behind the head.
He gave him a warning, but to me it wasn't that obvious where it necessitated a point deduction.
Right, and it was the first time he'd actually done that move.
Right.
So. All right, well, in any case,